from Teaching on Less. You can find me at kaysemorris.com, and I am on a roll. I had a few extra minutes, so I thought I would chat with you guys all about my student teaching experience. This is gonna be a funny one, guys. So grab something to drink, sit down. I'm sweaty, so I'm trying, I know I probably look like super, greasy with all these lights on, but school started back for me this week. Today we had our kickoff bash, as far as we had a convocation, that's what we call it, where we bring everyone in from the county and they come and we have like a huge kickoff celebration. We had a motivational speaker, like we always do, that came in to talk to us, and holy cow, he was so funny. I was crying, I was laughing so hard. If you are from a school district, let me tell you, get Dave Weber to come to your school and you will laugh like you have never laughed in your entire life. Well, maybe it was just like my personality, so I loved it, but he was amazing. One of the key things that he talked about, I'm gonna make like a whole video to go with my kindness campaign about this, was, basically be a frog kisser. And he gave everybody these little bitty frogs, and he said, if you can kiss the people that are ugly and the people that are rude and the people that, you don't know their story, but things are just going well, and you can turn them into a prince or a princess, then you've done your job as an educator. And it was so motivational, but hilarious at the same time. But that's not what this video is about. This video is all about my student teaching experience, which, is, I don't even know the word for it, so I'll just jump right in. I did my student teaching in first grade. I know some of you are like, but I thought you teach middle school. I teach middle school, but my degree is in early childhood education, and that's what I was supposed to teach. But during the time when I was trying to get a job, it was really hard to get a job, and none of the schools were hiring around where I live. For early childhood, I took the Kayse, got hired at middle school, and realized that that's where my heart is. So that's why I am a middle school teacher. But here's one reason, here are a few thousand reasons why my student teaching experience was crazy. All right, so I told you that I did it in first grade. My school that I attended did not let us do our student teaching in my hometown because of how far they would have had to have traveled. So I had to travel about 30 to 40 minutes to do my student teaching, which was not that big of a deal. Except, get this, I started my last 2 years of college, my junior and senior year of college, late. I got my associate's degree. I genuinely thought that I wasn't going to use it, so I decided to go work with my mom and my dad at an insurance agency, and I did that for a year and then realized, nope, got to go back to school. So I decided to go back to school. Well, during all this time, I found my husband, and my husband was a teacher, and I was like, okay, I've got to go back. He's a teacher, we can have the summers off together, this is going to be awesome, and all this kind of stuff. So I went back to school when I was 9 months pregnant. I'm not even joking. I decided when I was 5 months pregnant that I wanted to go back. We had been married, got pregnant real soon after we got married, probably 6 months after we got married. And so I decided I wanted to go back to school. I'm one of those people that if people think you can't do it, I'm gonna show you 5,000 ways why I can. So that was more motivation than anything, where people telling me, oh, you're not gonna be able to do it. I was like, watch this, watch this. I am exactly like that to this day. If people are like, you can't teach, you can't do TPT, you can't be a mom, you can't do YouTube, you can't do all these things, and I'm like, I will show you. I know that's not a way to be. That's not a way to be, but that's my motivation. When people think it's difficult, I'm like, you know what? This is when I have to rise. This is just when magic happens. So that was the way that I felt about school. You should have seen the looks of people when I walked into that classroom 9 months pregnant. And when I say 9 months pregnant, I had 3 weeks until I was due. So it was August the 5th. I was due on August the 25th. I didn't have my son until September the 1st. It was really horrible experience. If you've ever been a mom pregnant for 41 weeks, then in the summer, bless you. It was a lot. It's just hot, and school had started. Get this, my school only allowed me to miss 1 time each year. It was insane. 1 school day, and they kicked you out. They didn't care if you were having a baby. They didn't care if there was a death in the family. There were no excuses at that time. So I had my son on a Thursday. We had school. That was my 1 time that I could miss. I had to be back at school on Monday. Yes, Monday through Thursday, I was driving 45 minutes just to go to school. I'm telling you all this to lead up to my student teaching story. And it was hard. It was so hard. It was never easy. And it got harder. Listen to this. So, he was born September the 1st, 2009. And then I just kept going to school. My mom would drive the baby over there with me. I was having severe anxiety leaving a 3-day-old. I couldn't even, excuse me for this, I couldn't even sit down. I had to stand in the back of class because I was in so much pain that I could not even sit down. I was crying uncontrollably. It was just a really strong, it was hard. So December rolls around, I made it through my first semester. I told myself, if I can do it here, if I can do this now, I can conquer anything. So I was just motivated, I was ready to go. My son was 3 months old, I was feeling a lot better about life. And January came and we were into a new semester, things were getting super stressful, and then it got harder. I found out I was pregnant again. Yes, I know what causes babies. It doesn't matter. It was just something that happened. I will tell you, that day that I found out I was pregnant again was arguably probably one of my not finest moments in life. But I mean, I am so blessed. Now, holy cow. Okay, so get that. So, and please know that I'm talking about all this to tell you my struggle when it came to student teaching. I know that so many of you may struggle with infertility, and please don't take this any hurt towards that. I am so blessed. I have 3 healthy babies and I could not be happier. I know I talk about my 3 boys. My stepson is the oldest one, so I don't talk about him as much because he doesn't live with us full time, but he is still just as much a part of my life as my boys are, and I've been around since he was 2, and I love him, uncontrollably. So, all right, so I found out I'm pregnant again. And it was hard. I was due in September again. So I have 2 boys that are 1 year and 11 days apart. Their birthdays are September the 1st and September the 12th. But so I had to go through all this school, summer school, big pregnant. But I was like, I can conquer this because I've done this before. But it was, if you're a mama 1 and then you have a mama 2, life changes. And when you have a 1-year-old and then you have a newborn, my husband was teaching, he was a coach of baseball and a coach of football. Those years are a complete blur in my life. I don't remember hardly anything. And that's super sad. I don't remember my children being babies. I remember certain glimpses of it, but I think that time in my life was so hard and so trying that it just kind of all got sucked at, it's sad. And sometimes I get really upset about it because I feel like I missed a lot of them being babies because I was so focused on school. And I just encourage you that if you have the opportunity to wait, because I didn't get to enjoy my babies as babies. I'm enjoying them so much now, but I didn't get to enjoy them as babies because I was just too stressed. All right, so fast forward to the next September, I have 2 babies. And again, I could only miss 1 day. That time I got to take off 3 days before I had to go back to class. But as we all know, our second baby is a little bit easier. You can bounce back a little quicker. So I got all my schoolwork done and it was time for student teaching. I have a 3-month-old at this moment and I have a 15-month-old. And I got my student teaching assignment in 1st grade and I was so excited. I will tell you this before I get started. I'm not a negative person and I'm just giving it to you like it is. My student teaching experience was horrible. Absolutely, positively horrible. Horrible. With that said, my teacher that I did my student teaching experience with was amazing. And she was the reason why I didn't quit, because there were so many days when I wanted to quit. You could not miss 1 day of school. You could not miss any extracurricular activities that you had to attend. And having babies that young, there is no way I would have made it without Miss Elrod. So I want to say thank you, Miss Elrod. And it was not horrible because of the kids. It was horrible because of the situation that I was in, trying to juggle driving 40 minutes to work, having my kids at daycare, my husband picking them up, me having to take them while he was taking them to coach, to be a coach. It was just really, really hard. But we made it, and we're here today, and we're rocking it, and that's great. But so I started doing my student teaching with 1st grade, and 1st grade is hard, y'all. If you teach 1st grade, you are a saint. I believe that you are a saint. it was a struggle for me because there was so much learning that had to happen. I had done a lot of long-term subs in kindergarten, and when I got moved to first grade, it was just a bigger dynamic because the play and the fun and the excitement in learning had kind of been sucked out for me because I was trying to teach so much content that I didn't enjoy the children as much as I should have. And I was trying to stay focused on what I was supposed to be doing in college, and I didn't get to enjoy the children. Same concept with my children at home at that time. I didn't get to enjoy any of it because I was just so stressed. I really enjoyed the school that I was at, and there were so many different things that were going on. I was learning a lot about classroom management. I did not have it at that moment. I did not have it as well as I should have. Right now, I feel like I exceed in classroom management, and it's one of the things that I really, really believe I am best at, including a positive learning environment. But at that moment, I was really struggling with, sit down, let's do this, don't touch this, don't hurt him, don't do this. And I was so ADD in that moment that I was just trying to make sure that we all survived, and we did, thank goodness. And there was a lot of learning that happened. There was also a lot of growing that I needed to do. And I really questioned myself as a teacher in those days because it was just so hard. Not only was classroom management a struggle, but trying to balance all of the subjects at one time. Middle school is really good because right now I only teach English and language arts, which some people will say is really difficult because you have reading and you have writing and you have grammar, and that is true. But I'm also teaching a 70-minute block 4 times a day. So I'm only planning 70 minutes in addition to all of the differentiation that I'm applying to my students. But with first graders, I was teaching 5 days a week, and I was teaching for 8 hours, give or take the PE or the lunch. And I was teaching every single subject, and it was really, really difficult for me trying to learn how to manage it all. I was bringing home books. I remember like your Journeys reading book. I would go home and I would read the stories to my babies. Like I would rock 2 babies at one time with I have a picture of me holding a newborn and rocking my other baby, and I'm reading a big teacher's edition of a Journeys book, trying to be familiar with the content before I redelivered it to the students next day. I cried every day. Every day. I was emotional from having children anyways, but there were some days where I just said, I can't do this. I remember trying to go over a math lesson and remember seeing my students not getting it. If you've ever been in that situation as a teacher, and I'm assuming that you have, where you have all eyes on you and your students are not understanding what you're trying to teach, it's really difficult to process that information because as adults, we just assume that when you talk to people, they understand what you're trying to discuss. But first grade is really difficult because you're introducing content that they have no background knowledge about. And math concepts are so much broader in first grade than they are in kindergarten. And I remember looking at those kids, and I got home and my husband was like, well, how did your day go? And I was like, they didn't learn anything today. And he was like, yeah, they did. And I was like, no, I just know they didn't. And he was like, well, that's good. That makes you a good teacher. I said, but it doesn't. I'm not a good teacher. They're not learning. And he said, they are learning. You just have to figure out what's going to make that light bulb turn on. And I sat up all night long trying to figure it out. I remember thinking, okay, I want to make this fun and I want to make it engaging. And I remember I brought like an apron, and I brought something so basic as a mixing bowl and spoons, and everybody got, a piece. We were going to make a cake, and we were going to use all these different math things to learn how to make a cake, and we were all going to become chefs. And I got home that night, and my husband was like, how did it go? And I was so excited, and I started crying. I was like, they learned today. So you're gonna have those moments as a student teacher where you feel like you're not a good teacher. I think that's human. There are some days where I come home and I'm like, that didn't go very well. And I have to reassess. And I think that that's what makes good teachers great teachers, is figuring out that dynamic and learning how to reassess every single night when you get home on what works and what didn't. I was also really struggling with grading papers. I was bringing home tons of papers and I was grading all of them. Again, as I'm rocking 2 babies, and I wasn't sleeping good at night. I had one that slept awesome, and then I had one that never slept. And my husband is a saint. He got up with me every single night of both of their lives when they were babies. We would get up in the middle of the night and watch like Cops or some funny show to take our minds off of how tired we were. I remember him like making cookies and brownies and things like that at 2 o'clock in the morning when the baby or babies were up crying. And I remember looking over my content I was going to teach the next day. I lived on Diet Coke I probably drank like 10 a day because the caffeine was all I needed. Like I had to have it to get through, which is horrible. Don't preach to me about that. I know it's horrible. But I was also, in addition to all of that, breastfeeding not two children, one child at that time. And so I was having to take my breaks to go and pump. If you are a mom and you are a new mom and you are trying this teaching thing and you're in school, or let's say you have a 1-year-old and you're student teaching, or it's your first year teaching and you have babies, I feel your pain. And all I can tell you is this too shall pass. And I mean that 110%. My life at this moment is so not stressful. It is amazing. My children are the light of my life, and they are good boys. They fuss and they fight and all this. People used to tell me, oh, it doesn't get any better. It just gets worse. That's a lie. It gets better, moms and dads and whoever's even if you're a dad teaching and you have a new baby, it's still hard. We have so many responsibilities and so many hats that we have to wear, but I'm here to tell you that it gets better. Fast forward 7 years now, and I am loving my job. I feel like I am making a difference in the lives of children every single day, and it all comes down to building those relationships. I talk about that a lot, but I am a firm believer that if you can build that foundation and that love and that trust, that learning will just happen. So that's my student teaching experience. I'm sorry it was not the best story in the entire world, but it is what it is, and I am who I am today because of that experience. So if you're going through a hard time, or if you think that you're never going to make it, you can do this. I believe in you, and you should believe in yourself. It's okay to cry. It's okay to think that things are not going to work out. But remember, if things are not working out, it is not the end, and it's going to be okay. I went 1.5 years after I graduated trying to find a job until I finally found the perfect job. So don't feel like this is the end. This is only the beginning for you, and I believe in you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not already done that, and turn that notification bell on so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. If you haven't checked out any of my kindness campaign information, you can do that down below in some of my favorite videos. And I would love to have you visit my brand new website, KayseMorris.com. You can just check that out by going to KayseMorris.com/whatever option you want. Giveaways, shop, webinars, or anything like that. I look forward to chatting you more in the days to come, and I hope your back to school week is going to be fabulous. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.